Forget about Tesla and SpaceX. Elon Musk's most revolutionary project to date is about to change the lives of every single child in America. Nay, the world. Less paperwork, more thinking. That's the motto of the billionaire's revolutionary new school system. A school which has taken the traditional educational model, torn it up into 1,000 pieces, and thrown it out the window. What started as a means of keeping the children of SpaceX employees occupied has grown into a groundbreaking way of thinking, one which will save American students millions of dollars before too long. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Astronova.
You know, if you think of like what is education, like you're basically downloading data and algorithms into your brain.
The extravagant Elon Musk might be worth over $70 billion, capable of sending his kids to any elite school in the world, but for the rest of us, the cost of schooling is one of the most important considerable factors. Our kids will spend almost 15,000 hours immersed within these walls, so choosing the right school is critical to personal development. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, an average earning family would have to spend about 20% of its hard-earned cash just to send just one child to private school. Do the math, that's 40% for 2 children, and if you've got 5 kids, oh boy. Depending on which state you live in, the numbers can rocket up like a SpaceX shuttle into orbit, with Massachusetts, Maryland, and California among the states that charge upwards of $10,000 per year for elementary education. Who knew crayons were so expensive? In high school, it gets worse. Connecticut charges over $33,000 per year per kid. Don't even get us started on college. $61,000 per year for Columbia? That's nuts, and Elon Musk agrees. So unless parents are willing to test their luck in public schools, whose fees are also growing year after year, exceeding $12,000 nationwide average, then they're forced to burn a hole in their pockets just in the name of potentially mediocre education. What's the driving force behind the astronomical numbers? Government greed? Private schools lining their own pockets? Scarce resources? Either way, something has to change, and it's about to with, drumroll please, Astronova. We'll dive into the incredible, unique structure of Astronova in a second, but first, where does the need for such a left-field concept come from? If you ask Elon, we need something new and exciting to latch onto, something that will replace the severely outdated current education system. In 2020, we've seen it all, but even before then, college degrees and high school diplomas have become far less valuable in the modern world. These days, success is based on maneuvering through the real world, not memorizing a textbook. Virgin Group founder Richard Branson, worth $4.9 billion, dropped out of school at 15. So did Quentin Tarantino. 200 millionaire David Karp left an elite science school to develop Tumblr before he was even old enough to drive a car. Not to mention college dropouts Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and Oracle founder Larry Ellison. The world's greatest minds have one thing in common: they all ditched school. Elon Musk recognized that alarming reality, harnessing it in the real-world building blocks of the Astronova education. Musk himself has stated that people, quote, don't need college to learn stuff, and says that jobs at his companies shouldn't require a degree. Okie dokie, so the experimental school initially operated under the name Ad Astra, which is Latin for to the stars, and opened quietly on the SpaceX campus in Hawthorne, California back in 2014. At this time, Musk was fed up with his kids' so-called gifted school. They weren't educating in topics that he deemed essential. So he withdrew his kids, hired their old teacher Joshua Don, and then founded the Ad Astra School. Half of the pupils were Elon's kids. His twin sons, Griffin and Xavier, and his younger triplets, Kai, Saxon, and Damien. The other half were children of SpaceX employees. The program was free of charge and took place in one of the company's rocket factories. Imagine having recess in a space shuttle. The new virtual institution, called Astronova, started in 2016, and it operated under the same principles of Ad Astra, that being tackling real-world issues. Musk was fundamental in its creation thanks to a significant yet undisclosed donation. However, he has since taken a back seat, allowing Joshua Don to take the helm as principal. After all, when you spearhead 2 of the world's most forward-thinking tech giants, sometimes delegation is in order. A brick-and-mortar Astronova school now sits in Los Angeles, in addition to the online wing. The typical cost of a middle school with 60 kids is $26.5 million. Astronova, which is extremely exclusive, would have cost far less than that, allowing for more money to be spent on things that matter: real-world education and meaningful student experiences. But how exactly does Astronova differ from your typical school? First and foremost, it targets kids between the ages of 9 and 13, at a critical stage in their cognitive development. In the traditional system, teachers blabber on about outdated information in the whitewashed classroom. Students take notes and then have to remember it all for a test. It's repetitive, it's easy to lose focus, and if you ask Elon Musk, it's flat out mind-numbing. The innovative curriculum at Astronova throws that concept in the trash. Learning languages from textbooks, taking music classes, or even sports lessons are off limits. Instead, drawing on Musk's obsessions, students tackle complex projects that require a significant amount of critical thinking. Building robots designed for epic battles, discussing nuclear politics, and planning how to defeat evil artificial intelligence entities. You know, your typical 11-year-old's interests. Every single year, the curriculum is redeveloped, applying the lessons learned from each project, simulation, and discussion to improve the next cycle of learning. Did nuclear politics not strike a chord with the 9-year-olds? That's fine. Next year, the focus will be on sustainable town planning, or astrophysics, or spy drones. As of 2021, Astronova is also branching online. Here's the kicker though. The classes will only take place on Thursdays. What's more valuable then? 5 days of regular school or 1 day of billionaire Elon Musk-inspired education? You'd be forgiven for thinking that this radical school is exclusive to A-list offspring and the spoiled Richie Riches of the world, but that's not the case. The price tag for this experimental learning comes out to $7,500 per student for the full year, which is comparable, scratch that, cheaper than what hardworking parents are forking out for both the public and private schools across the US of A. In any university, the cost of building robots would fly into the thousands of dollars. At Astronova, that plus a plethora of other exciting projects all fall under that $7.5K. With that in mind, it's far from expensive. And yes, it's open to everyone. Well, so long as you're still young enough to order from the kids menu. In typical Musk fashion, there's a unique application process. Kids are required to answer one of the 7 conundrums, which are all created by the school's teachers and students. Take the lake conundrum, for example, which deals with themes like manufacturing, pollution, and corruption. Who's at fault if a beloved lake next to a thriving town gets polluted? The company releasing toxic waste into the water? The scientists who couldn't agree on the problem? The politicians who chose to ignore it? Or the voters who elected the incompetent politicians? These conundrums don't have a right or wrong answer. They're used as a test of the child's ability to justify a creative solution and think critically. Astronova's online wing could be the start of the future of learning, no doubt about it. What was once a discreet, obscure learning institution for SpaceX children has now become the talk of the town. Its relevance and appeal has intensified dramatically, with the 2020 lockdowns forcing tens of millions of students to undertake online learning for the first time. The traditional school curriculum wasn't designed to be taught and received through a computer screen. Astronova's concept, on the other hand, is built to flourish in the digital world. Could this be the way of the future? In 5 years' time, will family homes have a dedicated learning room with a projector and an Astronova live stream? Will school buses become obsolete? It's a wild thought, but nothing's too far-fetched these days, let's be honest, especially when it comes to Elon Musk. While the physical Astronova location is restricted to Los Angeles-based pupils, the online branch is open to anybody with the right mindset, drive, and personality. At the end of the day, Astronova is looking for kind, creative, and academically serious students to join its program. No matter where you're located in the world, you can apply. Tesla is changing the vehicle landscape, and SpaceX is aiming to commercialize space travel. Could Astronova be the catalyst to a new world of education? The Los Angeles branch is merely a test run. If it proves to be a wild success, campuses could pop up in other American cities before expanding internationally. But perhaps there's no need for campuses. As the world moves online, students are already dipping their toe into a new form of learning, giving Astronova the perfect opportunity to swoop in and capitalize. But the school's premise isn't just about moving online or studying different areas. Its goal and operation is far more evolved than that. Astronova is designed to change the way that people think, to teach youngsters how to solve problems, to remain confident in their processes, and to pave their own path. If our learning and thinking methods will take a turn, it's only a matter of time before the employment landscape takes a turn of its own. At what stage will job requirements focus more on a person's way of thinking than their CV? Thinking about it, what's more important? 5 years experience taking orders, or a knack of solving problems in record time? The Tesla founder himself openly states that a degree isn't evidence of exceptional ability, and that college is just for fun. Although an Astronova University degree, if that idea ever gets in motion, could prove the shining light in the industry. Will employers be brave enough to rejig their tried and tested recruitment strategies, though? That's the underlying question. Imagine a world with job titles like critical thinking consultant and senior problem solver. It's not as crazy as you'd think. It's all possible, it's all exciting, absolutely, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are foreseeable drawbacks from a life of unconventional online learning. With such few in-person hours, kids might struggle to develop their social skills. By forgetting about traditional subjects like music and sport, youngsters might lose their drive for extracurricular activities. And most notably, the absence of a traditional education could hamper their job prospects in the near term. There's only one way to know for sure. Twiddle your thumbs while it all plays out. In 10 years' time, we might look back at Astronova as the catalyst that made regular schools obsolete.